All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to KubeCon North America 2023. My name is Robert Sirchia, Director of Community Evangelism here at SUSE, and I am doing a partner interview here with Kjell from TestifySec. John, how is KubeCon treating you today?
It is treating me very well. There's a lot of great people, a lot of good energy, tons of new information and new friends.
Okay, awesome. Now, we're relatively new in the partnering sense, I guess you would say. What are we doing together currently? Is anything like special between what TestifySec's doing, what Rancher's doing?
Yeah, the thing that we've been working on recently, generally supply chain security, but then also looking at how we can integrate that into Rancher. Awesome. And the big thing is the gatekeeper integration that you have built into Rancher, just being able to extend that with an external data provider.
Okay, awesome. And I would be remiss if you wouldn't do a demo, but you have a demo, something you want to show us?
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely. So this is kind of a example pipeline we have, and really we're focused on a couple of different things. One is generating attestations for every step in the pipeline, which is capturing information about what you're doing and signing it, so you can know that that's what really happened, and then being able to connect all those different steps together, and that's where the data provider and gatekeeper come in. At the very end, you can validate that all these different things happened. If your developers maybe didn't follow the directions they were supposed to, maybe they're outside of compliance, you'll have that ability to check later on that they did or didn't do what they were supposed to.
Awesome. With that whole supply chain security, are there things that someone can do to prevent or see something when they just turn on what TestifySec does? Like, can we just, not necessarily monitor, but like you turn it on, it's an existing system. Can it just go and look at everything and say, hey, here are your problem points. We don't know where this is from.
We can do that somewhat here, and
okay.
We can see that a little bit. So we kind of have your different stages of your pipeline or your supply chain, depending on how you look at it. We've got a build stage in the beginning, and that'll run your tests, do some linting, the basic stuff like that, and then build a container image. And then at the end here, we'll do CVE scans, SBOM generation.
Got it.
And none of those things are specific to us. They just wrap around what those things do so that we can watch and observe, which is why our open source project is called Witness, so it can see all those things happening.
Ironic.
And so, in this example here, we got a slight little code change, which is the developers needed to install some new stuff in the container. They had to do it as root. So they turned on using root in their container image. Not a great idea.
Bad idea.
They were supposed to change back before the end, before it comes up and running, but they forgot. So the next thing that happens in the pipeline here is you can actually see the build fails. And that's because there's a linter looking for, are you running root containers as root? And so our developers think that they're smart. They can work their way around that. So then they put an ignore statement. We're going to find that specific rule and just turn it off. Maybe we convince ourselves it's a false positive or something like that.
Sure.
And so what happens here at the very end of the pipeline, you can see they get past that build stage, but they get to the very end and we have this verify stage. And that's where the witness policy comes in. And that's going to look and check, did you do these things? Did you do them in the right way? So it knows what command you ran for your linting step, and it knows that you put that extra ignore for a rule that was supposed to be applied.
So it catches all that. So the developer would have to go back in, make those corrections, and then just try again. It's like
exactly. And the idea is to not just shift left all this responsibility, but also shorten that feedback loop. Get them to be able to understand as early in the process as possible that things aren't going to be able to get into production. So in this case, we have it here with the pipeline, but we can actually see this on Rancher itself. And so the first thing we did was install the OPA gatekeeper integration. And then we installed our Helm chart for our data provider, which we're going to get in the catalog pretty soon here.
Okay.
And so what we can see next is the rule that we have in effect here. So we can see the Archivista data provider installed. And one of the things, this is in the gatekeeper namespace. If we look at the really nice visualization here, you can see our external data validation, our constraint. And we've got the description here. We're applying this to the gate-kept deploy namespace. And if we look at the template that we're using, you can see pretty much all we're doing is calling out to the data provider to see, is this container image something that should be allowed or not? And then we can look here and actually try and run a container image. And in this case, it's just going to be a BusyBox image.
Okay.
We're going to try and deploy that, and it's going to think about it. One of the things that this is doing is actually validating that policy, looking to see if all those requirements were met that we just saw, and then deciding whether or not to allow it. And in this case, we see the result was failed. So that's not something that went through our build pipeline. It shouldn't be allowed in our production environments.
Got it.
So now if we go ahead and run a container image that actually came from that environment, you can see now we're going to point to our software factory container image and go ahead and run that. And it's going to go through all these different steps. One of the things it also does is stores this evidence in Archivista, one of our other open source projects, so it can query that, look for all the evidence, and figure out the relationships between all of those things. So it knows that at the end you built a container image, but at the beginning you had source code. Throughout the middle you had different things. So here you can see our container image ran and says, "Hello, KubeCon."
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Now, Rancher has extensions now, a UI extension framework. Are you guys looking to tie in TestifySec to that framework as well?
Yeah, that is something that we'd like to be able to do. So you can see visibility not just into was this allowed or denied by Gatekeeper, which you can see today with the constraint violations, but also being able to understand what the policies are, that are applied. Right now, you create each of these policies with a custom resource in Kubernetes itself. So being able to visualize that should be pretty easy and straightforward.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you very much. It was great meeting you for the first time in person, and we'll look forward to next year, maybe in Paris.
I will be.
All right. We'll see you then.
All right.
And we'll see you guys in the community.